Are you one of those weirdos who picks up trash at the beach? I know I've seen a few of you out there. It began innocently enough for me. Although I'd spent many days on the beach over the course of my life, it wasn't until a few years ago that I got into the habit of taking these long strolls down the shoreline. And it was occasionally when I would come across a large piece of marine debris that had washed ashore, a big ball of trap rope, barnacle-encrusted chunks of styrofoam. So I'd pick it up, take it to the waste bin, throw it away, and finish my stroll. And over time, I began to find more and more pieces of debris washing in. Not just big ones, small items, bottle caps, strange items, toothbrushes, tiny items, microplastics, and nurdles. So I'd scoop up what I could in my hands, walk up and down to the trash can, back and forth, until ultimately, I wasn't taking long walks anymore. I was doing zigzagging beach cleanups. And I remember this particularly trashy period of time. The winds were blowing in hard from the east, and they would bring in big patches of sargassum seaweed. And embedded in that weed, there was a ton of debris, and much of it coming from all corners of the globe, judging from the labels. And one day I looked out, and I saw a white plastic bag floating in the debris, in this seaweed. And I went over and picked it up, and at that moment, the skies opened, and the trash god spoke to me. "Find it, fill it." So I did. And they continued, "Bring a bag with you when you go to the beach." So I began to. Every day before going on my walk, I'd reach under my sink and pull out one of dozens of plastic grocery bags that was there. They're not there anymore. Take it to the beach. I'd fill it, take a picture, share it up on my chats and socials and networks. #filibag. I wanted to call attention to what I saw as a real problem. One that somehow, despite the fact that I'd lived on an island, I hadn't noticed. And pretty soon I started getting pictures back from friends and family and strangers from around the world with their #filibag pictures. And while there was this incredible sense of outrage, there was also this underlying we feeling. Hey, we see it too. Hey, we need to do something about this. Every now and then, of course, I would forget to bring my bag, and you remember what the trash god said, all together, find it, fill it. A cup, a shoe, even a helmet one time. And I thought, what if more people just brought a bag with them when they went to the beach? And that's when I had an idea. Taking a page from the dog poop station playbook, I imagined a filibag station, a place where when you got to the beach, you can get a bag and turn an ordinary walk into a meaningful cleanup. Well, it was a great idea, but frankly, I didn't have any bandwidth to take on any more NIPA. You know what NIPA is, right? Non-income producing activity? If you know, you know. So I just kept doing my thing. Those bags under my sink were gone. They'd been replaced by 5 reusable bags, and instead I'd carry a bucket, fill that, take a picture, share it up, hype up others who shared pictures with me. And pretty soon I began to meet the most remarkable people from across the world. Whoever thought I'd be bonding with someone over beach trash? A couple of years later, I was at a Grateful Dead tribute show, and I met Dave Dobler and Dara Schoenwald, and little did I know that that encounter would change my life. They were sitting behind a table that read volunteercleanup.org. Volunteercleanup.org. I was familiar with this organization. It was a website where if you wanted to host or organize a cleanup, you could post it there. Or if you wanted to find one, you could search for one in your area and register and join up. So I was like, wait a second. These guys like the Grateful Dead and they pick up beach trash? We need to start hanging out. So we did. And one day we were paddleboarding in the mangroves, doing a cleanup, of course, and I shared my idea for a filibag station with Dave, and he said, Manny, you need to submit that idea to the Miami Foundation Public Space Challenge STAT. The Public Space Challenge is a competition which invites ordinary citizens to submit ideas to activate a public space, to improve a space for the benefit of more, for the neighborhood, for the community. Dave and Darren knew about it because their idea had won in 2015 to install water refill stations in their Miami Beach neighborhood to mitigate the impact of single-use plastic water bottles and promote the use of reusables and refillables. So with Dave and Dara's guidance and the help of a couple of friends, we submitted our idea to the Public Space Challenge in January of 2018. Then we got to work. We were going to do this, NIPA notwithstanding. It was happening. So we were all set to go in front of our village council for the rubber stamp approval for the first filibag station right here in Key Biscayne when I received a call from the Miami Foundation. Manny, this is Josh from the Public Space Challenge. Great news, filibag's been named as a finalist for this year's competition. I'd like to ask you for a favor, please. Wow, Josh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Of course, what can I do for you? Manny, I want to come down and to your filibag station. I want to come down to your filibag station and interview you and see if we might be able to use that for a promo for the next phase of the competition. That sounds great. When would you like to come? We can meet at the beach park. How about 4 o'clock? I was like, today? How about 4:30? You got it. I'll see you there. I grabbed the filibag prototype that we had built, grabbed the post digger that we had borrowed luckily the day before, got to the beach, put it in the ground, and had a great interview with Josh. And later that year, of October 2018, filibag was named as one of 20 winners for the Public Space Challenge. We received a small grant, which we were able to transfer over to our local community foundation, the Key Biscayne Community Foundation, which continues to be our partner and collaborator to this day. Our goal the first year was to activate 5 filibag stations in the Miami area. By April, we had exceeded that with 8. And by the end of 2019, there were 20 filibag stations across the state of Florida. But what is it about beach cleanups that's so captivating, so transformational? I know what it is for me. It's a lot of things. A welcoming and inclusive atmosphere, being driven by a common sense of purpose, working together towards a greater good, spending time outside in familiar places with familiar faces, creating deeper and more meaningful connections. It's no wonder that many of these are the attributes often used to describe community. The National Institute of Health Studies indicate that people of all ages, races, genders, and backgrounds benefit from the connections they make with each other and the awareness they generate for the environment when they participate in eco-activism. Cleanups are a perfect gateway eco-activity, accessible to anyone, anywhere, anytime. Immediately, you become part of this global community, and at a more personal level, you begin to generate lifestyle awareness, reflection on your own choices, and often leading to changes in behavior. Your thing may not be doing beach cleanups, so don't worry, it's okay if it is. But maybe it's carrying a refillable water bottle, or reusable bags to the store, or simply refusing single-use plastic. It's going to be something. Filibag was designed upon the MVP model, minimum viable product. We're going to put something out there with instructions that a 4-year-old could interpret and see what would happen next. How it resonated and impacted the individual and iterated and evolved with the community would be dependent on their experiences, their resources, their creativity. Take Irina Zirkova, a high school student who attended her first cleanup in 2020 and instantly became part of the litter picking community here in South Florida. One day she raised her hand and asked how she could bring filibag to her town. So with limited guidance, Irina was able to navigate the approval process and soon activated 3 filibag stations on the shores of Sunny Isles Beach. She also has her own organization called Sunny Isles Beach Cleanup, which hosts a weekly cleanup every Sunday, and to date has engaged over 1,000 volunteers from her tightly knit community. Or the Burgess family, expats living on the South Shore of Boston. They started a campaign in 2020 called Just One Bag 2020. They were inviting litter pickers from around the world to join them in removing 2,020 bags of trash from the streets and neighborhoods and waterways. They blew it away by about 20,000 bags, and they also activated a filibag station on the shore of Cohasset, Massachusetts, where they continued to inspire their growing community and people from around the world. Or Holly and Lily Thorpe, middle school students from right here in Key Biscayne. They started taking filibag walks, and instead of throwing their trash away, they kept it and turned it into trash art. One day we were at the farmer's market, and we find these KB beach bunnies that they're selling. This one, the one with the W for the weirdos, that's the filibag one. They were raising money for filibag. We didn't even know who they were. We know now. Recently, they activated 2 filibag stations along the living shoreline of their school, and free periods have never been the same at Mast Academy. Or the email I received in 2021. Hello, my name is Atlas Hamoud. I'm from Toronto, Canada. I was recently in Key Biscayne. I took a filibag walk, and I'd love to bring this initiative to Newport, Rhode Island, where my family has a summer home. Sounds great, Mr. Hamoud. I'd be happy to provide you with all the materials, guidance, funding, everything you need to make it happen. Can you join me for a 40-minute Zoom chat? 40-minute Zoom chat sounds great, he wrote back. Let me know what time works. Does it matter that I'm only 11? The future is bright. To date, there are 48 filibag stations across 5 states, with 2 more set to be activated in the Philippines next month. Here are some of my local heroes. Initiatives born and raised right here within 10 miles of where we're sitting tonight, led by passionate individuals and groups that provide eco-engagement activities for corporate groups, friend and family pods, social clubs, school communities, validating ways for them to build awareness and build capacity within their communities, opening that gateway towards awareness. Refill, refuse, reuse, reduce, rethink your choices. Since 2018, these organizations in filibag combined have held over 850 beach and mangrove cleanups, engaging over 35,000 volunteers of all ages, and removing over 200,000 pounds of trash from the beaches, mangroves, and waterways. That's like a Boeing 757. We even have our own hype man down here. Local 10 journalist and anchorman, Louis Aguirre. I went to middle school with Louis, and we hadn't spoken in about 40 years, but I called him one day in 2019, and I said, Louis, let me reintroduce myself and tell you a little bit about some of these great organizations down here. I wonder if you might be able to use your platform to help us in our campaign to raise awareness. Well, Louis immediately admitted to being one of those weirdos who picks up trash, and accepted an invitation to join us right here in the mangroves by the ski hole for a cleanup in 2019. After that, he began doing stories on the environment and ultimately created his own brand, a weekly series on Local 10 News called Don't Trash Our Treasure, which highlights the good, the bad, and the ugly of what's happening right here in our Biscayne Bay habitat. Judging from his hardware, it's been a success. Last weekend, I was sitting at the beach with some friends, enjoying a nice cold beverage, looking out at the horizon for diving birds or breaching wildlife or debris floating in, when I noticed a gentleman wading into the water, and I recognized the body language. He was looking down, and he hiked up his sleeves and reached in and pulled out a sheet of shredded plastic. I excused myself from the group. I grabbed a filibag bucket and walked down there to the shoreline to hear him complaining, and he was angry. He was talking out loud. His wife was within earshot on the beach, and, how can this be? What is this? This is insane. Where's this coming from? Somebody needs to do something. I extended my hand and introduced myself, and I said, "We are." And offering him the bucket, I asked, "Won't you please join us?" Thank you.